you searching for a more fulfilling career? And have you ever considered working for a charity? Learn how Michelle moved from a 9-to-5 job to a more fulfilling career in non-profit. Michelle, thank you so much for being here with us on 9 to Alive. So you moved from the corporate sector to non-profit quite a while ago, right?
Yes, I did.
So where did your career start and what's your role today?
Okay, thank you, Bruna. I started off in a law firm. So I started off as a research assistant, where my job entailed like going through lots of legal briefs, putting together stuff for legal opinions. And then I decided that I didn't want to be doing this for much longer, and I had, my skills could be transferred to other stuff. And I decided to dabble a bit into communications and PR. But in the midst of all of this, because I grew up and worked in Sub-Saharan Africa, I had seen that there was a lot of inequality, and then there was a chance to make a difference in the lives of people in different sectors. And I thought, okay, I need to do something that has more of a meaning. I need to do something that makes a difference. And in order to do that, I needed to update my skills. And so today I work as an internal engagement officer for a charity here in the UK. And also I've started something on my own called the 2030 Tribe, where I try to get people who are doing stuff to make a difference, and contribute to ensuring that no one is left behind.
How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel fulfilled. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something, so I'm not just coming to do work that is abstract. It makes me know that I'm actually impacting lives in communities from Nigeria to the UK, so to the US. I'm like, it's actually really fulfilling and satisfying.
And what is it like to work for this sector?
It's really varied, really, because you need to understand that it's not your typical 9-to-5. You need to understand that you're working with real people and that impact is at the heart of what you do. So once you understand this, then you're better able to tailor your skills and, think of innovations that's going to help the charity's interventions come to life.
And why do you think people should consider moving from a 9-to-5 kind of job into a rather 9-to-Alive career in non-profit?
The truth of the matter is, the skills that you need in the corporate world, you also need it in the non-profit sector, because you need administrative skills, project management skills, communication skills. So a number of times you could have, if you've done this for 10, 12 years and it's not fulfilling, and then you know that there's that side of you that wants to help people, there's that side of you that wants to promote a cause, then why not take the chance? That's what I'd say, really.
Indeed. And about your job, what's one of your best memory?
I think one of my best memories really would be going to a remote village somewhere in the northeast of Nigeria and seeing the smiles on the faces of children who were able to go back to school after 3-6 months of being out of school because of religious and ethnic conflict. So you realize that, oh my God, I sit here in my own bubble, and people little children, I'm talking about children who are under 10, are being forced to stay out of school, not because they don't want to go to school, because they simply cannot. So it's seeing how, for example, how conflicts can affect education, and how if charities intervene, then children like this can have a chance to get education again. And so for me, that has been one of the highlights of working in the sector.
And do you have any specific success story related to your job?
So this again is back in Sub-Saharan Africa. So I was able to introduce young girls to technology in terms of getting a partner from the UK who was willing to teach girls how to code. So you saw girls who had previously never used a computer, 6 weeks, 12 weeks down the line, you saw how they were improving, how they were beginning to become more curious, how they were becoming more technological savvy, and how they were, without knowing it, preparing themselves for working in a career that is, career of the future. So it was actually rewarding to see how girls who probably had never had access to a computer, who didn't have this at home, felt liberated once they walked into that center because they knew it was time to start their coding class, and this had been funded generously by a donor. So that feeling of seeing girls, who would never have had that opportunity get this opportunity was really, really, really satisfying for me.
And again, talking about your career move, what hurdles did you face and how did you overcome them?
I am sure there were a lot of hurdles in terms of trusting whether or not this was where I wanted to be, because for me it was somewhat unknown territory. Again, it was, would I be able to get the right kind of jobs I was looking for? It was hurdles about the salary, really, because a lot of people had discouraged me in terms of, are you sure you're going to get commensurate pay for your experience? And so for me, basically, it was trying to put push past all of that and then actually putting applications and see what the responses were like. Again, it was also looking for the kind of charity that resonated with what I wanted to do, like a charity that I would be proud of working with. So all those hurdles really needed to be crossed. And then finally, when I moved from Nigeria to the UK, it was about trying to understand the charity sector here and being able to break into that market. So there were, yes, a number of hurdles that had to be crossed.
And talking about your first charity application, what did you focus on? And was it the same CV you used previously, or did you have to prepare a different CV to apply for a charity?
So I would say I had to work on my previous CV, because generally you're selling results and you're selling numbers, but here you're selling impact and selling what it is you've done, that is, and you're selling passion as well. So I had to work definitely on my cover letters, in terms of explaining what it was I had done and why I think I'm a good fit. And every other role, it was sitting back to say, okay, what does the job actually require and what skills do I have and how do I marry both?
And from what you've learned in this experience, how do you think a charity CV differs from the others?
It's not so much different. It's being able to sell your experience, whatever it is, even if it's a volunteer experience, being able to sell that experience and convince the hiring manager about why you should be chosen. So basically knowing, okay, I've worked on this project in the charity sector. So selling that project, selling the passion behind it, selling why you did what you did and what the impact was.
In terms of career progression, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
So in the next 5 years, I hope to have moved from smaller charities to larger development or funding organizations, a big organization that funds projects across the world. And call me ambitious, but I see myself, probably directing communications and, and strategy for telling stories and people, doing projects that are impactful and sustainable. So I see myself as a director of communications in some international organization.
And I love your ambition, because that's what's going to make a real difference in the world. Michelle, what would you like our audience to remember about this interview?
So it's about finding your purpose, embracing your passion, not losing it, and trusting the journey. Because we all have different journeys, but the destination is the same. We want to make a difference, we want to create impact. So it's, what I would say is, ask yourself what you really care about. What is your purpose and what is your passion? Follow through with that passion. Do not lose hope. Keep trying, because you will get disappointed along the way. But then you would see that indeed it is possible to actually have a meaningful and rewarding career, a career where you make impact, a career where you're touching lives, making a difference. And so what I just say is, be purposeful and stay focused.
Because it's your purpose that fuels your motivation, right?
Yes, indeed.
And keeps you going when things get tough.
Yes.
Michelle, your top tip for those who are planning to move from the corporate sector to non-profit?
Like I said, there are a lot of causes and a lot of charities, but know exactly where you want to work and go for it. Identify those organizations that you think would be a good fit. And even if they don't have paid positions, you could write in and see how you could offer some services, as a volunteer, and that could be your way of getting your foot in the door. Also, be sociable. Write a lot, utilize LinkedIn, because it's a good platform to share your ideas and share thoughts on what's happening in the sector. Network, and really follow your passion because it will lead you where you're meant to be.
Thank you, Michelle. How inspiring to hear your story. And also, thank you so much for sharing your ups and downs, as I'm sure many people can relate to that.
Thanks for having me, Bruna.
You're more than welcome. And if you too want to make such move, check out on www.charityjob.co.uk what's possible for you. Thank you and see you in the next 9 to Alive episode.
Bye-bye.